Now, in this module of Hacking the American Dream, I'm going to walk you guys through what an inspection report actually looks like. Now, keep in mind, anybody who does these can do theirs a little bit differently, but I want to show you a real one we had on a property back in July. Now, I'm going to go through on this one like some things that might concern me or might not. One thing with inspectors that I want you to keep in mind is you do kind of want to take their feedback with a grain of salt. Keep in mind, they're paid to find problems. They don't find problems. It doesn't necessarily feel like you got your money's worth. Like, oh, I didn't really need that, right? So they tend to be very, very detailed in what they find. And you'll get things like, oh, there's a box in the attic that needs a cover on it. Like, doesn't really matter. It's not really a deal breaker. One piece of advice I do have is you are going to want to lean into the inspector you hire and trust their expertise. So, hey, what on this would really concern you? And, what on this is fine, right? So let's hop into this sucker. Just kind of scroll through it. I'll give you my commentary on it, give you a little bit of feedback when you're looking at these things. So one thing to note right out the gate, this is not an insignificant amount of information. I think this one in particular is 60 pages, as you can see at the bottom. They've got all these tabs along the top that show you like what all they're going to go through. So they're going to look at the roof, the exterior, the structure, the electrical, the heating, cooling, insulation, plumbing, interior, the property, wood destroying organisms if you paid for it, septic, and more. So you can see on these, on kind of the summary, they give you like what they're concerned about, right? So we can see right here on this sheet, they start to walk you through like high level what's wrong. So on the roof, there's some damage, there's shingles, moss buildup, tree limbs have been scraping it. So like that tells me it might need a new roof. Notice they'll have in here like qualified contractor to evaluate. Gutters are clogged. Gutters being clogged to me like isn't a deal breaker. We just need to get them cleaned, right? I'm not going to go through every aspect of this report because there's 60 pages of it, but like some of this stuff, like kitchen outlets are not GFCI protected. That just means you need to have the outlets swapped out. You need to have an electrician give you a quote, add that into the repair cost you came up with to make sure the deal still makes sense, but that's not like a deal breaker. Typically on the inspection, I'm looking for like, are there any major problems that are currently not my problems that I'm about to inherit? So like, is it going to need a new HVAC system right away? Is it going to need a new roof right away, right? One thing we often don't talk about with homeownership is it is expensive. There are things that break, and if you're used to renting, that's your problem. Now, that's why we do inspections. Kind of gives us an idea of like what could be coming down the pipeline in the foreseeable future. So let me find kind of another couple examples here. Okay, there's a little bit of damage on the drywall. Doesn't bother me, right? So let's get into some of the pictures of this stuff so you can see visually what these look like. So this is the damage on the roof they mentioned. You can see where the gutter there is clogged. Gutter's all full of debris. Okay, that's fine. We can see on these, the back porch has missing screens. Okay, not a big deal. I would be more concerned about like, this looks like it's got some rot on it that like, okay, we're probably going to have to replace that wood. So you kind of just go through this line item by line item and decide, is this an issue? Does this bother me or not? Again, looks like some of the back screen and section on this house had to be redone. This was actually a pretty bad inspection from what I remember. Cracks like that in the kind of exterior like porch area, it's a little concerning to me. Indicates there might be a water issue. All right. So if you get this inspection, you don't buy this house, for those of you guys that are watching this. So these are the joists. That's what actually holds up the house. Totally destroyed by termites. This was actually a house we inspected. We were going to flip and we backed out of it. Fair warning, if you're bug squeamish, this might gross you out. So you can see the live termites there, all the tracks from them there. You can see water stains inside the house. So like there's something's leaking, right? This kind of stuff, to me isn't that big of a deal. Like the electrical stuff, if the cable needs to be addressed or something, I don't really see any concerns there. Don't really see any concerns here with the breaker. Doesn't seem like he really had any so far. Looks like he's got some concerns with openings in the panel and exposed wiring. So again, this is just, you'd have an electrician look at this and, hey, is this a big deal or not? What am I looking at here, right? Some wires that are out, not capped, just live. That's not safe. It's not a good idea. You'll get things like this, right? Like there's an outlet that's inoperative. That to me isn't a deal breaker. If that was all that was wrong with this house and it needed a new roof, cool, right? The joists being eaten by bugs to me is a hard pass on this one. So some more electrical stuff. Let's keep going and make it interesting. Looks like it's got a fireplace, furnace. Let's see here. So the gas wasn't turned on at the time of inspection, so he couldn't check the furnace, water heater, or fireplace. That's a problem. You want to make sure all utilities are on so that you know if there's problems or not. In a house like this, if they're not on, that can be a red flag. So scroll through here. It looks like kind of some issues with the heat shielding maybe on the furnace. This is all stuff I would just want to get looked at. Don't love the cracking there. This is on the chimney, actually. So you just kind of go through these and, okay, how big of a deal is this? If I'm looking at this, I'm assuming this is probably going to need a new AC unit sometime soon. It looks like it's got a date on it of 2003. So yeah, sucker's 20 years old. It's about time for a new one. So I can budget $5-7 grand right there, right? You could see water heater shut off. He doesn't like the location of it. That's not that big of a deal to me. This isn't what you want to see under cabinets. That's clear water damage. Something's been leaking for a long time, which causes other problems. There you go. He's got it leaking, right? Again, like this house, just looking at this is pretty gross. This is the kind of stuff we make an investor make it their problem. Stove. I'm actually glad we're showing you guys this because this is a rough house, right? This is not one that you'd probably walk into and want to do. This is one you'd get and give me the tour and then politely, hey, I don't think this one's going to be for us. Maybe talk to a realtor, wish you the best of luck, right? Water damage inside from roof issues, holes and stuff that were punched everywhere. More water damage to the hardwood, tiles jacked up, right? This is a full on flip. So this is one, hopefully you wouldn't have paid for this inspection. We paid for it because we were prepared to do all this work and we decided this was too bad for us as experienced investors. So that's roughly just like the kind of information you get on an inspection. They're going to give you if they think something's a big deal or not and try to help you make the best decision for you and your family.